everyone. Today's day 41. I am at Mass General Hospital right now. I just finished my echocardiogram this morning, well it is this morning, and then had a appointment with the cancer center therapist. And the only 2 times I've cried today are thinking about my nipples. So I'm wearing my mask because I'm still at Mass General. I'm outside, but even outside within close proximity to the doors and stuff, everyone's wearing masks, and I'm wearing a mask. And I have my earbuds in so I can hear myself speaking because it's kind of loud, but I did use my mic so that you guys can hear me too. So I hope the audio on this is okay. And I'm forewarning people watching that this is in like a 21 and over vlog right now. People that are younger than 21 may not want to listen because I am going to be talking about sexuality and mostly sexuality, nipples, that kind of thing. So just letting you know, as the heads up, that's where I'm going with this. I intentionally have not talked about this before because I was afraid to. I didn't know how it would come across. But I think if there's anything I've learned in life is to stop being scared and just share what's on your mind. And, the premise of who I am as a human being with Neighbors to Know and with my vlogging, all of this is to share your story and talk about the things that people don't want to talk about or people are afraid to talk about. And that's a huge mission with Neighbors to Know. I have these guests on that talk about things that could be controversial subjects. And sexuality should not be a controversial subject, but it is the one thing that's making me the most sad. And maybe it's apropos that I'm at MGH and I'm doing the vlog from here, which I was not planning on doing. I'm hungry, I just want to go home and eat. But I felt empowered after talking to the therapist. And my echo went fine, everything looked fine. They'll know for sure my COVID test came back negative. And I just wanted to share with you about the sexuality part of everything of what's in my head right now. And I'm crying because it's a loss that I haven't talked about a lot. I mean, I've mentioned it with friends and some of them just give me a weird reaction because, there's only certain friends I can talk to about like sex and partners and my physical body in a way that's intimate. And in our culture, at least in the United States, the culture is to suppress those things. And of course the fan has to kick on. I hope the audio is fine. But I don't want, what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to move my mic up, even though, sorry, just bear with me for a second. Even though I know that that's not what I'm supposed to do, I really don't want you missing any of the audio of what I want to say today. So I put my mic lower, and I'm actually going to move it right up top by my mouth so that you don't miss anything I have to say. Here's my soapbox, here's my mic. All right, so here we go. In this country, I feel like sexuality is repressed, very much so. Other cultures aren't so much like that. I know, like, you go to Germany, for example, and people walk around and they wear provocative clothing, and people are like, yeah, go you. Whereas here in the States, you wear something provocative and people look at you funny, or they think that you're like a slut or a whore. This is why I give the 21 and up, description first, because I'm going to be really real on this one. Because I can't keep my mouth shut anymore. It's something that I'm processing, and I'm sure that there's a ton of other women that process this and men that go through breast cancer that have to deal and accept the new body. Yes, with your breasts, that's just one part. Your breast has parts to it. It's not just about the outside of like what the shape looks like, whatever. It is about your areolas, and it is about your nipples. And I know that, at least with the areola part, they'll have, they're recommending a great tattoo artist, but it's not even the physical part. For me, what I'm stuck on, or not stuck on, but what I'm really mourning the past 2 days is not having sensation in my nipples after Friday. And not having the same sensation in the skin of my breasts after Friday. Like, yes, I'll get new perky boobs, but the reality is they're fake. And the nerve endings just aren't there. And as much as they say that there's that, like you can have kind of a psychosomatic feeling of your nipples, scientifically, there's no reason why you should have any feeling in your nipples. Like when you have someone who's lost a leg or an arm and they say they can feel their limb even though their limb's not there. And part of what I talked about today with the therapist is there other things I can do? Is there mind exercises that I can do, like mind-body connection exercises that I can do that will help my body prepare that when the new nipple is put on, I want to make sure I do whatever I can to make that piece of skin feel. I went a very long time not being comfortable with my body when I was a kid. And I came into my own probably about senior year of high school. A little bit junior year, but mostly senior year, because I joined a group of women, and like people look at you, and it's considered like, you wear your little short skirts and your tight sweaters and all that, and people look at you in a sexual way, and that made me feel good. And then I felt good in my, late teens, early 20s when I was dating people. And I'm not going to go into super details of stuff, but like physically, I felt repressed from my early 20s until I hit about 40. I wasn't aware. I didn't know what I didn't know about my body, I guess. I didn't consider myself to be sexual. At that point, it's like, I'm wearing cardigans to go teach. You have to, dress a certain way when you're a teacher. You can't wear like low-cut things when you're a teacher and just go out and, look all slutty or whatever. Whether you're married or not, it's not, I don't mean that. I just mean dressed in a way that, like, if your students saw you walking across the street, they wouldn't be like, and then you'd, like, have backlash. And then once I turned 40, and you could say that's part of my midlife awakening, not crisis, but I started to realize that, like, it's loud. You get those jokey midlife birthday cards when you turn 40, and in practicality it's true. 40, 45 is like midlife, and then you start thinking about the other end of life, and you're like, hey, I've gone through half of my life with this body, and like I'm gonna go explore a little bit. So at that point was when I became much more open and curious, I guess, about my body. And what sparked that was that I went to a toy party right before I moved to Massachusetts. One of my friends threw a toy party, and they're sex toys. And I'm like, I don't know this world at all. And I was 40. I would say I recommend that if you are younger than 40 and you haven't tried a sex toy yet, it might be kind of fun. in so many different ways. There's a large empowerment aspect to that too, of you owning your body and knowing what your body can do. I didn't know what my body could do. I didn't I didn't know the sexual things that my body could do, really, until I was around friends that introduced me to sex toys. And I just mean like vibrators and that kind of stuff. And then once I realized what my body can do, I was like, oh, that's so super cool. And then, like, I, fast forward, whatever, 4 years, I got divorced and was in a relationship that was, like, very explorative with my body. Seeing the things that you like, things that you don't like, looking at these stores I didn't even know existed, and then you're like, holy cow, what the heck is that? Like anal plugs? Not really, no, not my spiel. And I've tried a lot of different things, and I know what I enjoy and what I don't. And because we're talking about nipples, there's nipple clamps if you want pressure on them. They have clamps that actually vibrate. That gives you a different sensation. There's even a matter of like going to the whatever box you keep all the toys in, and if the box is cold and it happens to touch you and you're like, ooh, that's a nice little sensation. I didn't realize that those things, that my body, that I could feel good about those things until a much older age than I really would have wanted. I'm not going to psychoanalyze before that. That's not the point. I actually had bought like smaller vibrators for my friends when they turned 40, because I'm like, hey, I don't want everyone not knowing what this world is like. You should explore your body, and it's totally not about a partner. It's about exploring your body and knowing what your body can do, and just looking at every aspect of your body from your toes to your fingertips as like this vessel that you have that you do have control over. Maybe that's what it's about. You do have control over it. And then you see like what things work well for my body, what things don't. There is a large factor of being relaxed while you're doing certain things, sexually too. Sex doesn't feel good if you're tense. Most things don't feel good if you're tense. And some people are able to, like females are able to ejaculate and some can't. And it's not a wise tale that women ejaculate. It's actually possible. I think a lot of women are that say, no, I can't do that. I think a lot of them don't relax enough or are not comfortable enough with their bodies to let their body do that. I'm not a scientist, but I think if one woman's able to do that, and there's plenty that are, then anyone can be able to do that. It is physically possible. And you have to be relaxed, and you have to be comfortable with your body. So fast forward, I'm single, and I still have sex toys. And I have no desire right now to have sexual relations with anybody, clearly, because of all this stuff going on. I just am not feeling that right now with my body. But I know from the outside that I'm in great hands, that I'm confident that my breasts will look pretty when this is all said and done. What they feel like is a whole other story that I have not talked about at all, and was afraid to talk about. But I feel like I'm being hypocritical by not doing that and putting myself out there. And I'm truly wearing the mask because I'm at MGH and I'm not going to be here without a mask on. It's not a matter of hiding. But I know by the time I get home, I won't remember all the things that I just talked about with the therapist to relay to you. Because it is a common thing. It's not just me. It is a common thing that people put their sexuality to the side because of all this stuff going on. Obviously, your first priority is taking care of your breasts, getting rid of the cancer and all of that. That is in the hands of the doctors. I have trust that everything there will be fine. But afterwards, when you go home, you have this like bra on, whatever, and 2 or 3 days later, I'm gonna be getting in the shower. And showering was hard after the biopsies. Showering was hard when you find out that you have breast cancer, because something's there and you start looking at all the imperfections and wondering, is that cancer? Is that cancer? Is that cancer? You could go nuts thinking that. Like I said, my cancer, there's no lump. It's a 3.3 centimeter mass that's malignant, and there's no lump anywhere. I've had plenty of doctors poking and prodding. There's no lump. So the feel of all this stuff is what I'm getting at for today. And I really hope my audio's okay. It's the feeling of all that. It's understanding that if it's cold outside, that will have no impact on me anymore because they won't get hard, which has its pros and cons. But that if you like to play with nipple clamps, and if you like to put vibrators on your nipples, even things like putting ice cubes on them to have that reaction, to make them, stimulated, all the different kinds of ways to stimulate your nipples won't be there. And I say that scientifically, that my gut, which has been so right about so many things, says that there is a way to make that connection with your head and your body somehow, even if it's not real, to be able to accept your nipples just as much as you accept your breasts. Because yes, your breasts are the big round things that everyone looks at, whatever. Less people see your nipples. And I don't know what kind of sensation I will have when I touch my breasts. And I mean, truly, even now, like if I touch the top part of my breast, like whatever, it's just skin, like who cares? For me, there's no, like if someone, if I'm with a partner and they go to, or even myself, go to, grab my breast and hold it in a sexual way, whether you're actually having sex or not. Like I'm a very tactile person. That's just how I am. And I'd like to have that experience from like head to toe. And I don't want anything left out. Even a little nipple, I don't want it left out. And I want to know, are there things that I can do? Are there exercises that I could do? And these are questions that I'll ask, but I know I don't have to ask them now. That's what I got help with today, is that I don't have to do those things now. What I am curious about now, I don't know if they put the nipple on Friday, or if that's something that's added after the fact. So I'm going to write a note as soon as I finish my vlog to ask the plastic surgeon nurse that question. And it doesn't really matter so much, it's that I want to know what to expect when I take the bra off after those 2 or 3 days and see my boobs for the first time, the new boobs. And yes, they'll be cancer free, and yes, they'll be scarred, and yes, they'll probably will be perkier. Yes, I'll have drains. I know those things. I don't know what I'm going to feel. I don't know when I'm going to go wash them in the shower, or if I'm allowed to. What's it going to feel like when I touch them? How am I going to handle the emotion of touching a nipple where I feel nothing? It's another kind of grieving. It's another loss. And I know I can't stay there, and I won't, but I wanted to share this with you because it's important, because people just think of the external part, and people don't talk about sex. They don't talk about those kinds of things in public because they're afraid of what people will think of them. They're afraid of what's considered taboo. And it's all just bullshit. Like, it should be taboo to talk about your body. I finally became comfortable with my body, that I could love myself, every part of it, externally too, and all the imperfections. And I refuse to go to a place where I'm going to be like, nope, don't touch those. Nope, don't do this. It's just going to be different. And of course, but for me, my first thought was, well, should I call someone? Should I just do a booty call just to get one last one in while I have the boobs here and see what that's like? I did consider that, not really seriously, because then when I thought, I'm like, well, if it sucks though, then that's going to be like, ugh, yeah, I remember why I'm not with him anymore. Yeah. That's not what I want. It has to come from me. And I have no desire to break out my toys right now and do any of that. What's interesting is that I had just done that right before I found out about my diagnosis. Obviously not planned, just because I felt like it. And I can't remember if I even played with my nipples or not, but it doesn't matter. Oh, this everyone says I'm brave. Talk about bravery. This is my bravest episode. The episode of my life. Yeah. And believe it or not, I don't share everything on here. There's plenty of things on here that I have my boundaries on. But this is not one of them. Because I'm not the only one. But if there's going to be someone to talk about it, because people are afraid to talk about it, that's going to be me. I'm not afraid to talk about it at all. Clearly. So, what I was advised to do is not think about it now. Because right now, the focus is Friday. The focus is getting the cancer out, let him make my boobs, however he's going to make them, fine. I don't have to know if the nipples will be on or not. I just want to know for when I take my first shower. And having said that, I opened the box for the shower chair today. And I do think that that's something important to have, because as I'm looking at it, well, it doesn't look as geriatric as I thought. But I would rather be, when they say, sit down for this, are you sitting down? Whenever they give you news, are you sitting down for this? Maybe it's a good investment. I don't even know how much it costs. And thank you. I won't say who got it for me, but thank you for getting that for me. Because when you're touching your boobs for the first time, in the shower for the first time with your boobs, you might want to be sitting down for that. So you might want to get yourself a chair. Something that's stable that will support you, because you need support the first time you're in the shower. So, down the road, not now. What I am going to ask, and I asked the therapist to put a pin on this so we can discuss it after. There are actually people, I'm so blessed to be in Boston. There's actually a department that works on this at MGH. They have a department for everything here. It's one thing that they have a cancer center therapist, and the parents at challenging times, and then the social worker to deal with the insurance and all the work stuff, all of that kind of businessy kind of stuff. It's they cover everything. And I said, I'd want to know what their exercises to do, whatever. And he said, I can connect you with someone that can help you with that. When it comes to body image, post-surgery. It doesn't necessarily have to be cancer surgery. It's just post-surgery, you have a new body. And there is a team here that helps to work with patients to help them accept their new body, every part of it. Accepting my new breasts, and accepting my new nipples, and what they can or maybe can't do. But honestly, I don't believe in that can't thing anymore. I really don't. There is such a strong mind-body connection. And I've referred to this episode multiple times, the one with Dana, I combined their names together. Jana Skolton and Dan Junkins. I combined them together to be Dana. They recently did a TEDx talk, and it was either pulled or reviewed or something because it was a controversial subject. And I interviewed them separately, their husband and wife. I interviewed them separately. And I encourage you to watch it. And it's not about my ratings. It truly is about the mind-body connection. What I'll just briefly share is Jana had MS. And she is fine now. Dan was diagnosed with leukemia. He actually gained weight when he went through his chemo treatment. And he's fine. And yes, I believe he went through chemo too, but there is such a strong mind-body connection in what healed them. And I am the first, and this is why I treasure that show so much. It's not about me. I treasure that show because I was leery about interviewing Jana and Dan, because when I heard them talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't talk about this on air. I'm going to get busted for this, because it sounds like, how do you cure yourself from MS? How do you cure yourself from leukemia? That just seems so far-fetched to me. And I didn't want it to come across where I was being like snide or anything with them. I wanted to come at it fairly, and I wasn't sure how to do that. So, like, when you have a minute, I encourage you to watch those episodes. They're pretty short. I think Dan's is a little bit longer. Jana's, I'm pretty sure, is under a half hour. And just go at it with an open mind. I always give a kindness rock to my guests. And I remember giving a kindness rock that said, it was a cloud. I'm no artist, but I can paint a cloud. And it said, thoughts become things. I think I gave that one to Jana. And while it seems like so like pie in the sky to say, like, if I think that I will have feeling in my nipples, then I will. After all the life experiences that I've had, and I have been through a ton of stuff that I haven't even shared with you and probably won't. And there's people even that, there's very few people that know all of the ins and outs of what I've gone through. But I have learned a ton. And I wouldn't wish that journey, I shouldn't say that, I should rephrase that. I should totally undo, actually. I was going to say, like, I don't wish that journey on anyone. But I guess, the journey has led me to where I am now. And I feel like, I had so many, like, missing years in that process. So, yeah, if I could have learned all that stuff when I was 25, that'd be awesome. But the reality is I wouldn't have learned those things at 25 because I wouldn't have had the life experiences to teach me those things, or having had to gone through those things. That English was horrible, but you know what I mean. I think people that have been through crisis in one way or another have such a deeper understanding of things than people that live lives where, like, major things don't go wrong. And I think that's why I am such a more deep person and unafraid to say stuff. I'm professional and I know how to be poised. Hopefully you saw that yesterday when I was reading all that stuff. But I'm not afraid anymore. I was always afraid of repercussions of things. But the reality is, me being as real as I have been has opened up doors for me that I never would have imagined, and has had an impact on people that I never would have imagined. So if I have to sit here doing a half-hour vlog about nipples, I'm going to do it, because I'm not the only one who has this thought in my head. And if you've never bought a pair of nipple clamps before, maybe you can try them, because you might like them. Instead of being judgmental, try it. And the therapist said to me, listen, your gut has not been wrong. Well, my gut didn't see the cancer part, but my gut knew something was off. Besides the COVID and besides the kidney stone, my body knew something was off. And my gut says to me, Jen, you've been through so much shit in your life, and you've had such great blessings and such awakenings in your life, and things that you've learned the hard way, but you've learned them, that God damn it, you're going to find some way, sorry God, you're going to find some way, even if it's some ghost phenomena, to have feeling in your nipples again. And to feel your breasts and not just as objects, but as a sexual being again. And in that process, it doesn't come from someone else. I have to be the one to instigate it. I have to be the one to make that connection with my breasts and my nipples first. So I'm probably not going to be dating for a while. Sorry, eligible bachelors. Because I need to be whole with myself. I'm not putting these babies in somebody else's hands until I know that I'm comfortable with them. And I'm blessed for the hard knocks that I've had, that I'm able to get through stuff like that faster and faster with the more curveballs that are thrown at me. So screw you, curveballs, because I'm not great at shooting pool, but I can play pool pretty well. Get rid of those damn curveballs. Throw some English on there. Yeah. I'm not going to do research right now. Right now, I'm focusing on this. You know, that's it. It's funny. I have like a collection of these stickers. Oh, look! I have an old one that's sitting in my book from the other day. Yeah. So that is part of the process, and I wanted to share that with you today. That's really the part that I have to find a way of having control over, to get that back and to have those feelings back, so that I'm comfortable with myself and I know what's pleasurable for me in a new way. And then when I do find the right partner, that I can guide that person to show them what's pleasurable for me too. Which really is how every healthy relationship should be. Whether you've gone through cancer or not, it's a matter of knowing each other's boundaries, knowing what works for each other, and listening to each other on an emotional level, and yes, on a sexual level. I'm kind of buzzing right now. I feel relieved to have gotten that out. So thank you for being on this journey with me. And I never have a good closing thing to say. This is where I am. I'm starving, so I want to go eat something. And then get ready for my next appointment. Oh crap, I hope I didn't miss that. Shoot, I think I gotta go. I'm pretty sure I have an appointment at 1 o'clock. Ah! All right, gotta go. Bye, everyone. Till tomorrow.